become frustrated, annoyed. Explain to me what's happened. And what you're looking for here is you really want to find out if this person has, like, given up. That's the best way I know how to say it, is you want to find out, have they given up? And if they have, then you have to address that right there. Because going any further, if they've given up, is useless until it's addressed. And you would have to ask, why did you give up? Well, because nobody's ever been able to help me. Well, if somebody could help you, would you want to know? And if that person says yes, well, good, you're good to go then. If that person says, well, I don't think there's going to ever be somebody who can help me because this doctor gives, and they'll give you whatever crap some doctor or physician said, They're going to just have to live with this for the rest of their life, whatever the situation is. And then you have to address right then and there, if that's truly how you feel, and you're going to have to go back to that primary question again, if that's truly how you feel that nobody can help you, what is it that you're looking for from me? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And that's why I said these two questions, those two questions at the very beginning, you might have to use 3 or 4 times throughout your consultation, but they're so valuable for an NRCT client because they get so stuck in mundane communication that they've had from a physician who's led them as well as they could in the direction that they knew they could, which obviously isn't one that fixed the person's problem. It just sustained them where they are at best. So you've got to really look at that, and you might have to fall back on that 3 or 4 times. Now, please don't be hesitant. If your patient's not reaching for your care, take it away from them. And here's what I mean by that. If my patient is Jill and I just got through with this and she said, well, Christina, I don't know. I'm going to have to live with it for the rest of my life because Dr. Smith said that this is just something that can happen. You can temporarily abate the pain, but, as far as everything else is concerned, it's just something that I'm going to have to live with. Okay, so what's my first question? My first question to this lady is going to be, all right, if that's truly how you feel then, Jill, tell me what it is that I can help you with. What is it that you really want to achieve? Well, I don't know. Maybe I just want to get out of pain. Well, Jill, I don't know if I can help you get out of pain. I don't know if you even qualify for our type of care. But if you do qualify for our type of care, what I need to know from you is why I should accept you on as a patient if you don't feel like anyone can help you. So you can see I'm going to take it away from her. And the whole point of taking it away from her is to get her to come through and reach. If she can't reach, then I'm going to tell you it's going to be hard to help her. And that's probably where some of y'all are getting kind of lost is you keep pushing and pushing and pushing to help these people, but they're not reaching for help. So when they're not reaching for help, you just back away and you say, listen, I don't know what I can do for you. I don't even know if I can help you. And some of them will say, well, I knew it. I knew that I was going to have to live with this for the rest of my life. And then you just simply ask, is that really how you wanted to live? Is that what you look like? Is that what life looks like to you? Now, the funny part about NRCT people and people with, conditions of such is they believe they're not going to live a normal lifespan. What they believe is that they're going to die early. So you have to break that notion up with these patients. If I had somebody throwing that kind of crud at me, I would say, listen, hold on, let's just back up here for a second, Jill. I'm not sure if you're aware that, people with these kind of conditions, generally speaking, live a normal lifespan. So what we need to do and what we need to address is, what kind of quality of life do you want as you age? Because if you have this condition in place right now and you age 5 years, do you think as the body ages it can heal things faster, or do you think it has a harder time handling conditions? And that person will go with a harder time handling conditions. And I go, exactly. So try to picture right now what your life would be like if this gets 2 times worse. Well, I don't know what that would be like. Well, good. I want you to take a look at that. Share with me what that looks like, Jill. And I'm going to make her describe it to me. Well, I'll probably be in a wheelchair or bedridden or, I won't be able to pick up my grandkids or whatever the situation is. Or well, I'll just be isolated or I'll be in a nursing home. Then whatever it is that they come back with, the question that you have to ask is that what you want for yourself? And you'll find that that person just is like, and please, every time, let me take a step back and give you guys all on the teleconference a little hint here. If you notice, when I ask those serious questions, even on this conference call, I'll do a pause, and I won't say anything because for each of you, you have to understand that you cannot speak once you throw that question to the patient. It actually has to sink into the patient, and the patient has to give you a response. For some of you guys, that's very difficult because you don't like the dead space, meaning you don't like it quiet, and it feels uncomfortable, and I understand it feels uncomfortable. But you've got to let that space there because what happens is you have to penetrate to that patient, and that's what those dead spaces are for. They're for penetration. They're to make the patient look. If I throw a question at each of you today, and then I were to start talking right after that, it wouldn't sink in. You wouldn't have to look. There would be no penetration whatsoever. It would be me just throwing words at you. And that's what you have to really make sure on your consultation, especially with these NRCT people, that you're not doing. A consultation should be a conversation. And so if you feel like you're over there explaining the meninges and you're doing all this communication and you're over there, oh, I can help you, I can help you, I can help you, I can help you at the beginning or all through day one, it's the wrong kind of communication to have with your NRCT patient because your NRCT patient needs you. You cannot need them. And that's the flow reversal that has to happen. If you're over there like, God, I got to close this person or I really need this person, I'm here to tell you, you might as well just hang the hat outside the door and not even go in because what will happen is the patient will feel the neediness and they will not start under care. And that's the difference between someone who gets really good at day one and somebody who's just kind of going through the flow of day one is, when a patient sits down in front of me, I have no hesitation, no gumption at all to say, listen, I don't need you as a patient. I'm only here to help those who want help. So if you really are not at a point where you want to address this isn't the right place for you. And what you'll find when you say things like that to people is, I just took it away from them. So, of course, I took it away from them. What do you think they're going to want to do? They're going to want it. Because, see, what they know is I'm not there needing them. What they need to know is they need what I have to offer. And that's the flow you have to create. And that's why the conversation and the questions that I'm asking on this consultation are in such a manner, in such a form, as you see, what I'm trying to do is get that person to realize that they have to have a need to want help. And if they don't have a need to want help, it's like, how can you help them? There's no way that you can help somebody who doesn't want help. And I know that sounds really simplistic, but that's the part that you miss with your NRCT people because they seem so complex. But they don't have to be complex. You just have to know the whole mechanism of the entire day one is to get that person sitting in front of you to want you. That's the mechanism of it. It's not any more complicated than that. That is the whole situation. So once you found out if what drugs they're taking didn't help and that they didn't fix the cause of the problem and how it made them feel, your next step is to find out how it messes up in their life. If you want to just barely touch on this, this is fine because most NRCT people know how much it messes up their life. They know that they're not able to walk or they can't do this and they can't do that. But I would pull a little bit out of that from the patient, and I try not to get into a long conversation about it. And then you can address their sleeping problems, like do they have a hard time falling asleep, staying asleep, do they not rest, well? When was the last time you woke up feeling good and bounced out of bed? Doc, it's been so many years, I can't even remember. And I just look straight at that person, straight in the eyes, and I say, that's really sad because that's not what life is about. And then I make my patient at this point look at life if they did bounce out of bed. You know, if you could bounce out of bed, Jill, and feel great in the morning, tell me what would be different. And you have to get them to kind of visualize what that would look like. Because, see, these people have been so messed up for so long. Goodness gracious, a glimmer of goodness might hurt them. So you kind of have to give them, you got to get them to look at what would that be like. You know, if you didn't have all these neurological conditions going on, Jill, how much different would your life be like? What would you do? How would you feel? Could you be excited? Would you be living again? Or is it the fact that you just want to have all these conditions? Well, I don't want to have these conditions. Okay, well, good. Then tell me, take a look at your life and tell me what would it be like if you didn't have this? And you're getting them, you're sparking their vision to actually see that there could be a possibility and what possibly could it look like. And then your next question is to find out, you know, at this point, you've really got to hit this next question very hard with these people. And this is that one we just discussed a few minutes ago about them thinking that, you know, they're going to live a normal lifespan and they're going to just have these problems. They have to know that. You've got to find out from the patient, you know, did the doctor tell you, you know, that people with these conditions tend to live the same amount of lifespan as everybody else? Were you aware of that? Well, no, I figured I would end up dying early because that's just what, you know, God hadn't planned for me. Well, you know, I understand that, but the truth of it is that people with these conditions, generally speaking, live a normal lifespan. So if you live a normal lifespan, as you age, how well does the body heal? What happens when we get older? And you just want to share, you want to get them to share with you what they feel like would happen. And you'll find out these people will go, well, gosh, the body doesn't function as well, and it breaks down. And, you know, you hear about those people who, you know, they fall when they're old and they break their hip or they get pneumonia and then they're really bad off, or they're in the nursing home, they're in assisted living center. And here's the greatest question, especially if it's a woman, the greatest question to ask these people is this: do you want to be a hindrance to your family? You know, if you end up in a nursing home or you end up needing 24/7 care and you live a normal lifespan, would that be a hindrance to your family? And you're just going to get them to penetrate, to look and to think, oh my gosh, you know, and I know for some of you guys, you won't be able to ask that question because that'll be a bold question for some of you to ask. And if you do it in the wrong tone, you will completely offend your patient. So if you have kind of a harsh voice or if you kind of are very stern, that's not the question for you to ask. But if you can soften up your tone, and if you notice how I said it was a very soft and kind of even withdrawn type of communication, that's how you want to ask it, because it's a very penetrating question. And if I did it at this tone and this level, it would come across very offensive to that person. So if you notice, when I get really serious with the patient, I soften up my tone and I talk to them a little more direct, but it's so soft that it's like it's not offensive in any form or fashion. And that's what you've got to do here. You have got to get that person at this point to see that their condition is going to become more problematic. That is one of the most important things with an NRCT person, because they don't think that their condition is going to get worse than it is, because they think it's as worse as it's going to get. And they've already lived with it for 10 years. So if they've already lived with it for 10 years and it's as worse as it's going to get, it's like, why would they start under care? Why would they do something different? They're on 10 different drugs. They're managing it to the best of their degree. The doctor told them this is the best it's going to get. So that's why you've got to really get this person here to see that their condition is going to become more problematic, or their quality of life, they will not be living and living to the fullest extent of what the word living is. And after you get that from them, your next question, and this is your determining question to find out how your consultation went, is do you feel like at this point you need to